Just in a possible glimmer of positive news for Ukraine, a senior U.S. defense official says Russians are meeting more resistance as they advance towards Kyiv than they expected. This according to a report from CNN. And this as President Biden meets with NATO leaders to discuss the latest with Ukraine. That is closed to the media, but we will let you know as details emerge there.
I hope that I am wrong about everything I'm about to say. I don't think I am, but I hope that I am. The entire premise of today's show is simply this. This little war between Russia and Ukraine is the best thing that the Democrat Party could possibly have wanted to have happen. Hands down. It is the best thing they could possibly imagine. I know it's hard to believe, but lighting up our buildings in blue and yellow has had seemingly no effect whatsoever on Putin. Hasn't slowed him down, hasn't made him go, oh my God, these buildings are lit up. Well, I should stop. I know it's hard to believe, but it's reality. There are some things I'm going to tell you today about this that you're not going to like, you're not going to want to hear. You're going to be mad at me in many cases. I have no doubt of that at all. I can hear the emails rolling in already. Dave, you're wrong. I hope that I am. But experience tells me differently. Experience tells me I'm not. Wish I were. Wish I didn't think this way. I wish my mind didn't work this way, but this is how it goes. I'm going to tell you some things you don't want to hear. Number one, Ukraine is losing and will lose this war. I know what you're seeing, and I know what you're hearing, and I know what you think, but savvy minds see what's really going on, and propaganda to the contrary doesn't make it so. TikTok and Twitter are not news sources. Now, they can be, but they are not reliable sources, nor are they legit analysis of what's going on. There is virtually no confirmation, no whatever. It is a place for, the experts to hang out. It's where you'll read stuff like this, why experts say only vaccinated Americans or only unvaccinated Americans should be drafted to fight in Ukraine. The topics that are being discussed on TikTok and Twitter and social media in general are absurd. And yet somehow or another we're going, but the mainstream media is not giving me anything. I'm not cheerleading for them either. What I'm telling you is TikTok and Twitter are not legit. Sanctions are useless. I know we're hearing a lot of talk about sanctions, but even the president this morning acknowledged the fact that sanctions are not going to deter Vladimir Putin. His exact quote, "These measures will not stop Putin's invasion," unquote. The problem with sanctions, of course, is they work both ways. That's something nobody's thinking about here. All right, so you sanction Russia, but Russia sanctions us, and then where are we? They make a point, sanctions do, but they are seldom, very seldom, effective in any way, shape, or form. The longer this war goes on, the more likely we are to be pulled into it. The president said again this morning, no boots on the ground. And I would remind you that every single president that has ever said that ends up putting boots on the ground. The longer this war goes on, the more likely it is that something happens, retaliatory, spinning up, escalating, whatever you want to call it, whatever word you want to use. The reality is the longer this goes on, the more likely something happens that results in Americans and Russians shooting at each other. Maybe not in Ukraine, but it could and becomes more likely to happen the longer this goes on. And when you factor in President Putin's somewhat veiled threats the other day about nuclear weapons, it does concern me. That does not make me, by the way, a pro-Putin because I would like to see this get over with as quickly as possible. It makes me a pragmatist, but they may not like that either. The reality is that this is not good. But it is, as I said, the best thing that the Democrats could have wanted. Why do I say that? Well, if you're paying attention, you know that we've been told for the last few weeks. Hell, I listened to shows yesterday. They were talking about how the Democrat polling is showing that they're going to lose everything except San Francisco and Los Angeles, the enclaves of liberalism. Everything else is going to go red. That we're going to see a wipeout of unparalleled. The red wave of 2020 is going to look like a kiddie pool compared to what's going to be happening in the midterms. That's what we're being told. You don't think that the CDC's changing of mask guidelines today is accidental, do you? No. There's a shift happening, though, and this war has given the pretext for the Democrat Party to shift those things. CBS News reported the other day, somewhat humorously, that the U.S. economy has been hit with increased gas prices, inflation, and supply chain issues due to the Ukraine crisis. You see, all of that is not because of anything the Democrat Party has done. It's all totally because of the Ukrainian crisis, because Vladimir Putin has invaded Ukraine. The shift is palpable. In 2016, Occupy Democrats tweeted this: "No civilian needs an AR-15 regardless of whatever mental gymnastics you do. You are a very special breed of stupid if you think that they do." Yesterday, Occupy Democrats tweeted, "Breaking, Ukraine's interior minister announces that 10,000 automatic rifles have been handed out to the citizens of Kiev as they prepare to fight tooth and nail to defend their homes against Putin's invasion." Retweet if you stand with the brave Ukrainian people. But wait, I thought there was no reason for civilians to ever have these kinds of weapons. There's a shift. Back in 2019, a guy by the name of Brian Schatz tweeted, "Wow, he's so bad at this." Speaking of Trump, Iran, China, North Korea, we're just getting rolled. And then a couple of days ago, he tweeted, "It's now more essential more than ever that we rally around the president as he leads the free world in response. If your instinct is to try to turn this into a partisan political advantage or viral tweet, step off the stage." That's quite the shift. Chris Cecilia tweeted back in 2012, quote, "The 1980s are calling to have their foreign policy back. Obama mic drop." 2 days ago, he tweeted, "It's time to admit it. Mitt Romney was right about Russia. Took him a few years, took him 10 years, but there you go." Brooklyn Dad Defiant in 2017 tweeted, "Without firing a single shot, Rocket Man defeated Dutard Donnie, and I'm loving it." And then a couple of days ago tweeted, "For the record, if you're rooting for Putin against America, you are a pathetic traitor." You seeing the pattern here? Janelle Forsyth actually treated one of the more ridiculous things that's been said. This isn't discussed much, but Putin may very, very much benefits from white privilege. I'm not making this up. She tweeted this. "I just can't see a scenario in which a black or brown man running Russia would be allowed to invade Ukraine with no devastating consequences. See Crimea 2014. White supremacy will destroy us." I know you're laughing. You're going, that's insane. And it is. But it's a subtle shift, isn't it? It's a subtle hint. Russia is white supremacist. And people that support Russia are white supremacists. This guy from Turkey tweeted, "Right wing doesn't love Putin just because he's an authoritarian, tyrannical leader. They love him because he's a white authoritarian leader. Race has become more important than even nationality. They've turned on democracy, now even in America, in favor of a white warlord." it's all becoming, this whole Ukrainian war is becoming about Trump hatred. Preet Bharara tweeted, as you watch the death and destruction unfold in Ukraine, just remember that the former president, Trump, admires, underline bold, Putin for it. Do you sense what's going on here? Do you kind of get the feeling of what's being done here? You're tying an idea to another idea in the face of upcoming elections. What is that idea, you may be saying? Well, you're probably smart enough to figure it out, but in the event that you haven't, overwhelmingly, leftists, Democrats are tweeting that Trump loves Putin. Now, I've read what Trump said about Putin. I don't get that, but again, context no longer matters. He admires Putin. He said he admired something he was doing, and for the record, I disagree with Trump on the issue, but he said it, and so Trump loves Putin, period. That's what's being put out there. Putin, get it? See what I did there? QED, if you are a Trump supporter, you also love Putin. That's the plan. You love Trump, Trump loves Putin, therefore you love Putin. If you don't support Ukraine, you are a fascist. You are a white supremacist. You are a Nazi. You are evil. You are a Trump supporter. All those things. Have you ever seen so many people calling for war that seemingly weren't when there's a Republican in office? They will wave the flag. The president started this yesterday. I got a text from a listener who was impressed with Biden's speech yesterday. He said it's the best speech he's given since ever. Of course it was. Wave the flag. Hide behind the colors. Celebrate the defeat of COVID. Again, you don't think that the CDC's relaxing of mask guidelines today is accidental, do you? Have you noticed that you haven't seen Dr. Fauci today on TV recently? Has anybody else noticed that? He's being pulled back. Why? Because he's seen as the face of COVID. He's seen as the face of the people who want to continue COVID. And the Democrats know. Can't do that. We can't have that in there. And they're using this phrase. We're going to defend freedom in Europe. Now, keep in mind, these are the same people who, back in the day, didn't want to have anything to do with defending freedom in Europe. They wanted the U.S. out of Europe. They wanted all that stuff done. They're the same people. But today, we have to defend freedom in Europe, meaning we have to defend a non-NATO member. And the longer this goes on, the more that chant, the more all of those things will come into play. The more you will hear Trump loves Putin. If you love Trump, you love Putin, and you don't support Ukraine. Therefore, you are a fascist. You are anti-American. You are not patriotic. How can we vote for you? How can you vote for anybody that's like you? How can you support people who don't wave the flag, who don't celebrate the defeat of COVID, even though who keep saying it's a political game, who don't want to defend freedom in Europe in the sense of sacrificing American lives for something that has no strategic interest to the United States? I keep saying that. I will say it probably till I'm blue in the face. I will say it until the end of time. This war is the best thing the Democrat Party could have wished for, and they have already started twisting it, turning it, making it theirs, so that if you do not support their aims in this conflict, you are unpatriotic, Trump-loving, Putin-supporting fascists, racists, white supremacists. I hope I'm wrong, but something tells me I'm not.